I'm Josh, you won't have to walk in like Julia Childs. Just kidding. We're going to make some headers today. Eli? Eli, come help me. Come help me. He doesn't want to help me. All right. So we're taking these pieces in between. So what we're doing is just creating a space. A lot of people typically, now, the new framers, they'll just lay these down, nail them in, put them on, and then they leave the open face to the inside so they can insulate that. But just growing up doing it this way with my dad, we always just made a spacer block. So you got an inch and a half, so it's 3 inches, and the 2x6s are 5.5 inches. So I just cut these spacers at 2.5 inches. So I put that on, put that there. The first ones I just put a little bit of a gap. We'll fill this with foam afterwards. I would just stand off a little bit because if you put it right on, it's a less of a chance for it to line up perfectly straight. You could technically measure these. I just kind of eyeball them because it's just a spacer. But I do put a square underneath just to make sure it's square. Nobody likes crooked stuff. And then grab both, top and bottom, flip it over. Oh, and the other important thing is find the nicer side. And always put the nicer side to the outside that you want to see. And then I put the square down on this level surface, make sure that's square there to the end. And then I do the same thing to the other side, square there, make sure this is flush here, square, square, happy, happy. And then nail it. Then we'll take a top board. This side looks nice, I like that. Shoot. So make sure this is flush. Flush. Oops. I moved it. I'm out of nails. My helpers are not helping me. Helpers! Oh, helpers! Walk as slow as you can over here, though. You looking at the window? So we're making headers, but we're going to make them for the smaller wall. And then the whole purpose of a header is to transfer the weight. Because you got the studs, which is bringing the weight from the second floor and is bringing it right down to the foundation, which then goes down 4 feet into the ground, which the concrete is poured on virgin ground, so it shouldn't be shifting that far down. But anyway, up there where there's going to be a window, you got to have a header. And so basically the header brings the weight from the cripple studs down. And people typically call these jack studs and a king stud, but we always just call them shoulder studs. I don't know, it's always called a shoulder stud and then a stud. So anyway, it transfers that weight from there and it brings it here and it brings it all the way down. So everything must touch to go all the way down to the foundation because you got to carry that load. So that's why headers are important. I've taken out windows for people and there's no headers in windows, and as soon as you pop out the old windows, the whole roof line just drops a little bit. So people always wonder, can I put a bigger window in an existing house? Yes, but you have to put a header that's large enough, so it's a lot more work. So we're gonna put the top board on here, but it is just a hair long, so we're gonna cut it just a little bit. You ready for this? Okay, pro tip. Instead of just trying to figure out exactly where you need to cut it, because I don't need to cut that much, so instead of, oh, that's a half blade or whatever, what you can do is put the blade all the way down, hand off the trigger, push a little bit firmly against the blade, pull up, and then when you go back, it gives you about a half blade on average. And yes, for all you pro tippers out there, this is a trim blade, but we don't need to use a trim blade. I can just use a regular contractor's blade, but it was already on here, and yeah. And always, you can't stress it enough, never have your hand near where you're firing. Just because the way the grains of the wood are, nails don't always fire straight in. Sometimes they'll go in and then they'll hook up and you can get it right through your finger. Or sometimes the gun will jump, and if you jump, it could get your nail or your finger there too with the nail, so it tickles. Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
Because I was dumb. I was working on Mr. and Mrs. Cabela's house in Sidney, Nebraska, and I had my hand too close and it fired through. I wanted to just pull it out, but my superintendent at the time said, nope, we gotta go. So I went to the hospital, and 3 hours later they pulled it out, and it already, what do you call it, adhered to the skin. It was already closing in, so it hurt more pulling it out than anything. So it was dumb, but you'll have that. This gray hair is wisdom. It's wisdom.
Nice.
I paid for that. It's paid for.